Story of Prophet LUTH or LUTH alayhi salam. Prophet LUTH was the nephew of Prophet Abraham alayhi salam. He migrated with his uncle from Babylon to Palestine. Life in Palestine was so difficult that they had to migrate again to Egypt. The farming and livestock business in Egypt was so profitable that the locals were jealous of their success. Eventually, they left Egypt and Prophet Abraham alayhi salam returned to Palestine, while Prophet LUTH moved to Jordan. Prophet LUTH went to the location that Allah had chosen, which was a city called Sodom. The Sodom people had very bad morals. Men forsook their wife and laid with other men, and anyone who entered the area might be deprived of their property or enslaved. Prophet LUTH alayhi salam invited the people to abandon their indecent behavior. He warned them of Allah's punishment. Prophet LUTH said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had created men and women to be in pairs, which was better and safer for them. Instead, they laughed and sneered at him, but they then threatened to expel him from the city if he continued to preach. Prophet LUTH alayhi salam married a woman named Wa'ilah, and soon they were blessed with two beautiful daughters. One day, 3 young men approached the daughters of Prophet LUTH alayhi salam, who were drawing water from the well. The young men asked if they could spend the night in their house. The daughters were silent and looked at each other. In their mind, handsome and attractive guests would be a source of contention in their city. The daughters of Prophet LUTH alayhi salam asked and were granted permission for the strangers to stay. Meeting the strangers, the Prophet LUTH became concerned as how he would protect them from the people of Sodom. Prophet LUTH alayhi salam wanted to tell these strangers not to stay because of the wicked people in the city without offending them. Yet at the same time he wanted to accept the guests and show them the hospitality of a house. He tried several times to convince them, but they insisted on staying in the city. Finally, the Prophet told them to wait outside the city gates until evening, so that no one will see them. When it got dark, Prophet LUTH went to the gates and escorted the stranger to his house. As the Prophet had planned, he managed to bring the guests to his house without anyone knowing. When they arrived at his house, the Prophet's wife, Wa'ilah, saw them and she quietly slipped out of the house. Wa'ilah informed the people of Sodom of the arrival of the 3 young men. Wa'ilah often provided any information related of Prophet LUTH's preaching. That's why Prophet LUTH's preaching was often unsuccessful. As payment, Wa'ilah received gold and silver from the Sodomites. The people of Sodom planned to sacrifice the young man. A crowd immediately flocked to the house of Prophet LUTH alayhi salam and banged on his door. Prophet LUTH did not open the door and tried his best to hold the door from being broken down by the people of Sodom. At the same time, the Prophet LUTH could only surrender and ask for help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prophet LUTH alayhi salam said, "Oh my guests, forgive me for not being a good host. I am not a respected person to protect you from the evil of Sodom. Forgive me if you cannot be safe well in my house." Seeing the plight of Prophet LUTH alayhi salam, the young men told him who they really were. They said that they were the angels of Allah who will send punishment to Sodom people. The angels asked the Prophet LUTH alayhi salam to leave the door of his house wide open. When the people of Sodom stepped inside, suddenly their vision went black. They rubbed their eyes but still could not see or know what had happened. "This is a magic trick!" cried one of them. The people of Sodom failed madly around, colliding with each other. The angels asked the Prophet LUTH alayhi salam to get out of the house and immediately leave the city. The angel said, "Walk towards the outside of the city and do not look back. Allah's punishment will come before dawn." Prophet LUTH alayhi salam and his family and followers walked toward the outside of the city. They walked quickly except Wa'ilah, who walked so slow that she was separated from the group. The wife of the Prophet LUTH alayhi salam was reluctant to leave the Sodomites. She deliberately walked slowly and lagged behind. Many times she turned her head towards the settlement. She wanted to see what would happen. She was not sure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would send punishment to the Sodomites. At dawn, the angel Gabriel flapped his wings, enclosing the territory of the Sodom. Prophet LUTH and Torich had reached the border of the city, and not long after they heard the sound of explosion. Screams, cries, and curses echoed everywhere. The people of Sodom died in pain, lying on the ground in the rain of hard stone and burning heat. No one survived the punishment, including Wa'ilah, who met her end. She was hit by a stone that came from hell. The people of Sodom were punished for their disobedience and evil deeds. The destruction of the Sodomites is proof of Allah's power. In the meantime, the Prophet LUTH ﷺ and Torich made their way to Palestine. They traveled a grueling journey and finally arrived where they were welcomed with joy. Prophet LUTH encouraged visit the house of Prophet Abraham ﷺ, where he was honored as a special guest. Then he told what had happened. Prophet Abraham ﷺ had learned of the incident from the angels who had visited him sometimes earlier. Prophet LUTH ﷺ stayed in Palestine until the end of his life. He died at the age of 175 and was buried in Bani Naima near Hebron.